Up, Soul Tribe family? It's your girl Soliel. I am back with another episode of Soul Seek Conversations, our mental wellness podcast by your host Soliel. I'm the owner of Soul Rise Essentials. This podcast exists to share stories of resilience, to build global community, and for you to discover new ways to thrive via the brave voices of others. We are building a global community called the Soul Tribe family, and what we do essentially is we feel like sunshine, and we stay close to those people who feel that way as well. Why do we feel that way? Because we're doing our personal work in turn to change the world collectively, okay? So that's why we exist. You can check out all of our mental health merchandise at soulriseessentials.com. That's SOLRISE essentials.com. Let me tell y'all, so this week we will actually be launching some new products, and it's still cold. I don't know where you at, but it's cold outside in Virginia, okay? So we have 6 new items that will be dropping on our website this week, and they are beautiful. The reason that we use colorful merchandise is because of color therapy and color psychology, essentially. So yeah, we done been through some things in the Soul Tribe family, right? But we don't live in that place. It doesn't become our identity. We are actively trying to figure out how to be a better version of ourselves, but also accepting us where we at right now as well, because we're still loved even right now. So we have these new Do Good, Be Good Scullies or beanies. They call them different things depending on where you at in the country or the world, child. But they are adorable. They are thick. They are breathable still. They are really good quality, and they're embroidered with our popular Do Good, Be Good message. And they come in 6 different colors. So these will be hitting the website soon. If you're not already on our email and text message list, I highly suggest you get on there, because you may be able to shop with a discount. I'm not sure. You may be able to shop them first. I'm not sure. But get on that list, because you'll also get a 15% off discount code. Favorite color, yellow, of course. And then we have this black and white mix, super popular. Really cute, okay? Yes, ma'am. And then for my girly girls out there, we definitely have this hot pink option as well. And then, y'all, this right here actually came out way cuter than I thought it was. This is actually a brown and white mix. Let me show you the difference between that one and the black one. Yes. She classy. I can see. First of all of our merch is unisex. So men, women, children can wear them. My son wears these. He has his own little custom color that I made for him. But these are adorable. This is the brown mix, and then this is the black mix. Ain't they cute? They're adorable. Hey, Tanya. Nice to see you. I think that's Tanya. Hey, SD Events. Thank y'all for joining me. We're about to get into this podcast episode. It's about to be a really good episode. Y'all just stay tuned. But you know I got to make my little announcements before we get into it. All right. The classic black. Okay, and I'm so sorry that everything's backwards right now. I'm going to try to fix it in post, but Instagram keeps changing stuff. Classic Buki, classic black and white, Do Good, Be Good. People think that they know what I had in mind when I designed our Do Good, Be Good design, but you can interpret it however you need to interpret it. It can mean whatever you need it to mean on any given day, but this is for the people who, bright blue, okay, is giving blue. This is for the people that have been through some things, but that have also worked on who they are now, and they are a much better version of themselves now. And they may have some days where they question themselves, like, was that me? Am I still the drama? But they know they've done some personal work to not really be that person anymore. So even if you have a slip up, even if you have a bad day, even if you go back to being that person that you fought to not be anymore, or you make a mistake, it's okay. We honor differences over here. We honor all emotions over here. And Do Good, Be Good is just a reminder that, okay, every moment I can make a different decision. I can do good and I can be good. I am good. Therefore, I am good. That is actually what I had in mind when I designed this. It comes in now Scullies. They'll probably be coming in like dad hats as well when it warms back up. But what do we have them in? We have them in, what is this? A crew neck as well. They're on our website in multiple colors for men and women. And then also they come in t-shirts for kids, multiple color options as well. And then hoodies. Y'all be eating them things up. So I know y'all gonna eat these up. I know y'all are really excited. So anyway, that's our new merch, soulriseessentials.com. Get it, spray good vibes, remind yourself of who you are, not who you used to be. And don't you let nobody else try to remind you of who you used to be. You don't do that anymore. You're not that person anymore. Okay, and if they can't get on board, it don't matter. All that matters is you know who you are, and you still have every moment to change. Any minute you can change your mind, do good, and be good. Period. Okay? All right. So before we get our podcast started, I always like to do a trigger warning. We are a fun, educational, informative podcast. So, but it also gets deep around here because it's a mental health podcast. And so if there's something that's being talked about that's a trigger point for you, or you feel like might be too much for me emotionally, you can pause it, you can stop it, you can come back and watch the rest. You don't have to come back and watch this particular episode if it's too much for you personally, okay? We are, I do have guests that come on here that have degrees and accolades and designators behind their name, including our amazing guest, Dr. D, today. She has a doctorate degree. And she's a PhD student. I think that means the same thing. I ain't go to college, y'all, so y'all forgive me. But so she has her accolades, but anybody that comes sit in this seat, we've had therapists come on the podcast as well. They are simply in this seat today, a human sharing their lived experience, a thriver sharing their story. So nothing said here today is supposed to be advice per se or medical advice, anything like that. This is for entertainment purposes only. Okay. You can also find all of our podcast episodes on YouTube just by typing in Soul Seat Conversations. That's SOLSEAT, like you sitting in a seat, and then Conversations. Or you can just type in Soul Rise Essentials on our YouTube channel as well. And they're also on our Instagram too. So if you have a resilience or a mental wellness story to share, you can email us at mystory@soulriseessentials.com. That's SOL riseessentials.com. My story at soulriseessentials.com. We'll hear you out, make sure it's a good fit for our podcast, do a pre-interview, and then get you set up. We do this once a month. It's interactive. It's amazing. We love our Soul Tribe family. If you're watching this right now, put some sunshine emojis in the comments to let us know that you're watching the replay and that you enjoyed what you heard. Any questions, comments, we would love to hear them. Having said all that, honey, I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we're going to bring in Dr. D, Dr. DaJaneil. I think I'm saying it right. Let me get you on in the room, sis. Happy Love Month. Happy Black History Month.
Hey.
Woo. This year, see, it's the second month of the year, and it just seems like it's already been a year. You are beautiful, girl. How are you?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Welcome to the Soul Seat. How you feeling?
Okay. We here. We blessed. You know, I'm feeling great. Today is the new day, and I'm starting afresh. So,
yes,
how you feeling?
Girl, I'm here.
Yes.
Same thing as you. I don't know what's in the energy. I mean, what's in the atmosphere, but I've just been so tired. I have been doing a lot as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually like one of my questions. I always start off with, how is your mental health? So I'll be asking you that same question. But today I'm just here, boo. I'm just here.
And that's okay. As long as we are here. Yeah. That means we got an assignment still. Okay.
That's it. That's it. Well, tell the people your name and make sure I said it right. And then also tell them who you are, what you do.
Yeah, you did say it right. So kudos to you. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I'm Dr. DaJaneil McCree. So to clarify, and that's so real because people don't get it. People don't know for real. You like, is that right? Yeah, so I am a professor. I am not a student. I have students.
Okay.
But we're not going back. So yes, I am a professor in public health, essentially. It gets a little bit deeper than that, but so I teach community engagement strategies in public health. I teach just all things public health, and I also am a researcher because that's a point of a clarification too. Everyone who teaches is not also in research, so I am both and. And so both of my works, my research is among Black women. And we can get into that a little bit later, but yes, I'm here. All things Black women. I love all the women. I love all the people, but I love my people. Amen.
Okay. Listen, did you see what I did back here? It's supposed to be flipped. I don't know what's going on with this thing today, but I did the RBG. That was
Cute,
intentional for our Pan African
cute,
flag and our
cute,
people because it's
cute,
Black
cute,
History
cute.
Month. Okay.
Yes, period.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing. Do you want me to call you DaJaneil? You want me to call you Dr. D? I've been calling you Dr. D.
Whatever is comfortable.
Okay. I'm gonna say Dr. D.
Okay.
So I
That works.
know that you are originally from Detroit, and I actually had this cute idea to name today's episode from Detroit to Doctor, which I
Cute.
love.
Me
So
too.
tell us more about your background in Detroit and also where you are right now. And also, before I get you to answer that, prayers to Detroit. I don't know if what I'm seeing
Yes.
on
Yes,
social
yes.
media
Thank
is
you. Thank
accurate, but it's
you.
like a flood and a
It
freeze
is.
type situation going
Mhm.
on. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I actually thank you because I live under a rock, so I didn't know what was going on. So thank you for reaching out and just sending your well wishes. I saw it on TikTok last night after we talked, and I was just like, what is going on? But unfortunately, the city floods all the
Mhm.
time. It just so happens that it's winter now. So because it's so cold, we are also experiencing a freeze, and all of that is real life. None of that you're seeing is made up. And so it's unfortunate. So I'm just tapping in with my people, checking in, making sure everybody good. From what I know, everybody is okay. But I've seen like cars frozen in the middle, like, whoo, I just, yeah, I'm gonna pray for my people and thank everybody who's standing with us right now.
Absolutely. Yes. So you're from Detroit. Where are
Yes.
you at right now?
I am in Maryland.
Okay.
So I say Baltimore, but I really live in the county. I live in the suburbs, but it's still Baltimore
Okay.
County. And people don't really know the city I live in. So I just be like Baltimore
Okay.
because it's easier. But yeah.
So you're part of the DMV, which I'm in Virginia, and I thought the V in Virginia meant Virginia, but apparently it don't. That's
What do you
that's
mean?
what I heard. It so I thought it referenced the whole state, but they're saying the part of Virginia that like couples in that
That's right next
DC,
to DC.
like right there,
Mm-hmm.
only that part
Yeah.
of Virginia. And I was like, oh, well, little old me thought it was DC, Maryland, Virginia, but they said it's not the whole Virginia. So you
And it's not
actually
the
in the
whole Maryland. So
oh.
Maryland, Baltimore does not resonate with DMV.
Mm,
That's what I just found out. That's what the people told me. And I say,
okay.
well, y'all are still part of the imp anyway.
Right.
So but they serious. They like, we are different. Okay, have
Yeah,
at it.
I just learned that back in October. I was like, oh, this is new to me.
Recently.
Yeah.
But I get it because there's segregation, to lack of better terms, because Detroit, we are on island. So I get it. Do
Yeah.
y'all thing.
It's just good to know so I ain't saying the wrong thing no more. So I guess neither one
Exactly.
of us are part of the DMV actually.
Right, right.
So I
Unbeknownst to us.
always, yes, I wanted to ask you, is one of my segments here, which we kind of alluded to earlier. So on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being like the lowest and 5 being like you really feeling good, where are you at
Mhm.
right now in this very moment with your mental health? How are you doing?
Let's see. You say 1 to 10. I
One to
think
five. One
one
to
to
five.
five. Okay,
Mhm.
that's steep. I'm gonna go with
Okay.
3. I'm gonna go with 3. And I'm gonna keep it real. 3 is also my favorite number, but that's neither here nor there. Because I feel good,
Mhm.
but I know that that's because I'm putting on face, if that makes sense, right? Like
Mm,
I'm going through the motions and I'm just existing. And but I'm also in the same breath because I understand that I am in a space where I'm actually allowing myself to feel.
mhm,
And just to give a bit of a context, I lost a friend January 1st.
mhm,
And so, and then what, 9, 10 days later, I stepped into my new role and my new position. So it's like, again, I didn't have time. I had to go. You know what I mean? I had to just keep it moving. And I have to show up for my students. I have to show up for people around me. And so, but I do take that time to, like I said, just process and
mhm,
feel and do all of the things. So I don't feel like I'm not okay. So that's good. Because sometimes you could not be okay and feel it too. So I
mhm.
feel okay, but I know that I'm dealing with stuff and processing stuff. So that's where the 3 comes from.
That's a very honest answer.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for sharing that. And I
Mhm.
also feel like 3 is like I don't want to say a baseline, but it's kind of like, yeah, you going through it, but like you said, you're also managing it, and
Yeah.
that's okay. That is
Mm-hmm.
absolutely okay. And even if you at a one, I'm not saying that that's necessarily okay long term, but it is where you are and you
Right.
should honor that. So I
Yeah.
love what you shared about just honoring where you are right
Mm-hmm.
now. Like you have a job to
I
do
do.
and you have students depending on
Yes.
you and you got to show up for them and maybe even hold space for them if they're feeling some kind of way and they want to share
Absolutely.
how they're feeling with you. And so, but you know,
Absolutely.
when you get home, hopefully it's a safe space and you can let
Mm-hmm.
it all down and continue
Show enough.
processing personally on your own time. That's really
Right.
honest. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Thank you for asking.
Yes. And I know I alluded to how I was feeling earlier, but on a scale from 1 to 5, I would say I'm probably like a 2.5
All
today.
right. That's real.
Yes. So I actually went to my first sound healing experience this past
Okay.
Tuesday. Have you ever done that before?
No. How was it for you?
I think I honestly, first of all, the experience overall was amazing. I laid on a mat and I rested.
Mm.
Rest has been a word and a theme that's been showing up in my life personally and with friends of mine. One of my best friends is on the feed right now, and she and I and another Black woman are planning an
Come on.
event centered around rest for Black women
Come on.
locally. And so that's been a theme we've been talking about. But I was so
Mm-hmm.
grateful because I was able to, it was first of all, it was free and it was
Mm-hmm.
donation based. And
Oh,
whatever you
nice.
had to give, if you had to give it, you put it in Cash App or you put it in a little sound bowl for the sister that
Mm-hmm.
was leading the class. And it was beautiful because I looked around, even though my city's not that big, I do know a lot of people here, but there were a lot of people there in that space that I didn't know. But also some people I did know, some people that did a lot of really cool things in my city that really, we all just came to create space for ourselves.
Yeah.
And shout out to Shayna. She was the person that led it. It was just beautiful. I laid on that mat. I listened to the words and the encouragement, the affirmations, and the healing from the
Mm-hmm.
sounds of the sound
Mm-hmm.
bowls. And I
Mm-hmm.
needed that. I really
Good.
needed that. Like
I'm
I
glad you
felt
had
like
that.
thank you. It's been a lot
Yes.
happening, and so being in a community space where don't nobody want nothing from you, and you could just come
Yes.
and be and lay on that mat.
Yes.
She said you could do whatever you want. You could do these yoga poses that I'm asking you to do, or not. You
Yes.
can write in your journal or not. You could take a nap or not. It was really like
I love
whatever
that.
you need to do, whoever you need to be, just experience this. And I slept like a baby for 2 days.
Good. Good. Because you needed that release. You needed that relaxation and just to be able to woosah. So I love that for you.
Yeah. So, you know, even though I had that beautiful experience, I'm still like at a 2.5 because I
Mhm.
feel like I'm where you at. I'm processing and I'm allowing
Processing.
myself to go through what it is that I'm going through. So,
Yeah. And that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to process. It's okay to cry. It's okay to do all of those things because that's part of healing, right?
yes,
So you have to go through all of that to heal.
yes,
So I'm okay. I know that I'm not all the way okay, but we're gonna get there.
yes,
We're gonna get there and we're healing. It's a purging process. So I do cry. You know what I mean? Like you said, go when I go home, I shed a tear or 15. But I love being able to do that. And that lets me know, excuse me, that I care and I loved her and just that I have empathy and I'm a human that feels. So
yes.
by crying, I can just remember, that I do have love in my heart. I do care about others. I do, so it's still again a healing
And I'm
thing.
sorry for the loss of your friend. What's her name?
Thank you, Taryn.
Tara? Taryn.
Taryn.
Okay, well, we
Yes,
lifting Taryn up and sending
yes.
you love as
Thank you.
well. And I think now we should definitely go into a favorite segment of mine, which really is to slow down before we get into the conversation. We're going to do some deep breathing
Okay.
together. It's one of my
Mhm.
favorites. It's actually called box breathing, and I think it's called square breathing as well. But essentially, what we do it 4 times. So we breathe
Okay,
in for 4,
let's
we
go.
hold that for 4, and
Mhm.
then we release for four
Come on,
seconds, and then we just repeat that 4 times. Let's do it.
let's do
All right. So
it.
close your eyes and get situated, and everybody else in the room, y'all can do it with us. And whenever you're ready, we're gonna breathe in for 4. 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Hold it for 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. 2, 3, 4. One more time. Inhale and hold. Release. Third one. Inhale and hold. Release. And this is our last one. Inhale and hold and release. Thank you for doing that with me.
Thank you for doing it because I feel better
Yeah,
already.
good. It does create almost an immediate like relaxation and response for your body
Yeah.
and your nervous system. And I feel that. So
Yes.
thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
Dr. D girl.
Okay.
So
What we getting into?
I want to talk about, I know that okay, so Black girls can talk. We're going to talk about
Mhm.
what this
Yes.
is, why you
Yes.
created it, why
Yes.
you wrote the book.
Yes.
But I want to, before we talk about all the amazing things that you are doing and have done, let's go back because I know that there's
We can go
always an
back.
origin story
Yes.
of why we get into the work that we do. So, what was it
Yes.
like growing up in Detroit, and what was it about you that made you start what you're doing now?
Yeah. Okay. Like we talked about earlier, a lot of the stuff y'all hear is true about Detroit. Now, I love my city. I love it. I want to be a Detroit. That's how bad I love Detroit. Literally in my office, a Detroit D, because period. So it came with its adversities. I won't say that I grew up in the hood, but I'm not gonna act like I wasn't middle class. I'm not gonna act like I didn't have privilege. I'm not gonna act like I didn't go to private school because I did. The private school was in the hood, but it was still private school. So just I come from a place where not only do a lot of people not go you know, kind of into secondary education.
Mm-hmm.
But people don't make it out of Detroit. You know what I mean? People that's from the hood don't make it out of the hood. I was fortunate to be able to do so and continue, just that trajectory of just making a better space for myself and my family. But again, I understand that, like, just to put it in context, everyone that I know and grew up with still is in Detroit, you know, with the exception of maybe three, four people, and we're talking about people that I'm close to. So it's just a testament to it's like being a product of your environment, right? And a lot of times you so comfortable in that environment that you just stay there. And for me, until I graduated with my or got my PhD, I was one of those people. I own a home in Michigan to this day. Like, so it's like, but I had to realize like really what's still there for me is family, and that's not enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough. And so I love them. I go see them often. I'm home every 2 weeks, probably. Not gonna lie. But I can still love them from a distance as far as just choosing to do what's best for me in my career. So yeah, there were a lot of setbacks. There were a lot of obstacles to get over. Just even going to college in the first place, like money to go to college. I didn't have none of that. I didn't have none of that. And I put myself through all three of my degrees. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just, I love Detroit because that go-getter mentality, the get it out the mud. Like, even now I hear some people, and all I hear is excuses when you're talking to me, because one thing about me, I'm gonna figure it out. And that I'm not gonna give you a whole bunch of excuses. We just gonna get it done, and we're gonna move on to the next thing. That's a testament of how I grew up, the people I grew up around. Like, I say this jokingly, but seriously, like, our kids don't even cry. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're strong from a young age.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that could be to fault at sometimes, right? But I also appreciate that part of me because it did provide me with strength, right? And it taught me how to navigate like life's challenges. So um I'm relearning some stuff. I'm having to relearn because, being on the East Coast now, it's a whole different beast. It's so different over here. And I'm like, oh, y'all be hugging each other? Like, oh, y'all, oh, okay. Like, if people were like, what do y'all do? I'm like, we just say what up, though, and keep it moving. Like, we don't hug. I don't know. I don't know.
Wow.
So now I'm getting into my like lover girl vibe, and like, I'm learning, because people will be like, why do you look so upset? I'm like, I'm having a ball. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm.
But because in Detroit, we don't walk around
Mm-hmm.
smiling. We just don't. Like, because you never want to give someone the opportunity to catch you slipping. And that's just how we proceed with everything in life. So like, I didn't realize I didn't smile until I came to the East Coast, and they're like, you look like you don't want to be here. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I love y'all. Like,
Wow.
but it's just, it's a mindset and a mentality. But I wouldn't trade it for the
Yeah.
world. I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade it for the world. I love it.
Are your family members proud of you, or you know how sometimes it'd be like, oh, she thinks she all of that, she did
Yeah.
this. How do they feel?
Yeah. I think that's another thing that doesn't get talked about. So I'm sure that they are. I just really haven't heard it as
Mm,
much probably because it's just again how we grew up. Like even thinking about, unfortunately, we're so used to loss that we don't deal with it, or for instance, I know my people love me, but when I lost my friend, it wasn't like a hey, how you doing today, are you okay, we just don't, we unfortunately are so used to it. It's just a part of our lives. So I think, and we were talking about this one of the last times I was home, like we don't really express our emotions unless we're like drinking, and I don't even drink anymore, at least. And so but it's unfortunate that we have to have an ailment to express ourselves to one another, right? Like, and I'm not saying that's for everyone, I'm just saying the environment I grew up in, right? Because there are people that love each other and hug and say I love
yeah.
you that are from Detroit, but I'm just talking about my
Mhm.
experience. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure they are. My aunt definitely tells me that a lot. And I know, my grandmother, I know they are, but it's just not something that I hear a lot, I
Okay.
should say.
What about that's so cool to hear like that you've gone on to do things. And I wanted to ask you, have you seen anybody in your immediate family that has gone to secondary education?
Yes. So, my father has a master's, and for me, since I was a little girl, I'm like, I gotta get a master's because my daddy got one. So that was like always a goal. Listen, I got bullied. I feel like, let me not call it bullying. Them people ain't bully me, but getting a PhD was never on my bingo card. But I did have two sorority sisters that were in their programs and or either graduating, and one is my aunt actually. They were just like, you know what, I think you should do it. And I was like, well, maybe you're right. So I do have, gratefully, I have not just, I feel like my sorority sisters are my family, you know what I mean? So not just immediate family, but I do have great examples of people who have gone on the secondary, education. And a lot of my friends have pursued doctorates or are pursuing them. So I'm surrounded by a good group of people.
I love it. The reason I asked that is because I have a twin sister. She went on to secondary education. I went to like a vocational school for like 8 months, didn't pan out for me. But her experience in college was really tough because she didn't see
Mhm.
anybody immediately from our family go to
Yeah.
college and even come out with a degree. And so it
Yeah.
was many times where she felt like this is hard. I want to stop. You know, she would call home
Mhm.
crying and we would just talk her through it. But I'm just talking from a place of, girl, I hope you do it,
Yeah.
honey, because I don't even know what it's like, you know.
Yeah.
So being able to look back in your family with your dad and other people that had kind of, you know, gone through that before, I'm sure was encouraging, because for
Yeah.
somebody like you to come from where you came from, even though you had a couple of examples, I'm sure it was some times where you like, am I even cut out for this?
For
Did you
sure.
have that experience?
All the time, even now. Well, now I'm so secure in who God created me to be that I don't feel any of that anymore.
Yeah.
But when I graduated with my PhD, being in the environment I was in, I'm like, am I enough? Like, it's people, we all got the same degree, but like it's people who are excellent in their fields. And I'm just like, maybe I don't do enough. But now, even I was talking to someone the other day about my past experiences, and they were like, well, what do you need me to come speak to your class for? They got the expert already. Like, they're like, you've done so much. And I was like, you know what, haven't I?
I
Hold on.
love, you
Because
better
I
pat
live
yourself
it.
back. Yeah.
Right. I live
Yeah.
it, so I'm not used to giving myself accolades. I experienced it, so I don't think about it as something I achieved. But that's a
Mm.
problem. That's a problem. I need to start. I'm really that girl.
Yes, you are that girl, honey. And
Thank
I
you.
I love how you just connected the dots. So we were talking about your origin story, and then now what you're doing with Black Girls Can Talk. I feel like
Mhm.
there's a connection there.
For
Like you're
sure.
saying, I am that girl, and you're
Yep.
teaching young women, Black girls to pat themselves on the back and to
Yeah.
speak up and to use their voice. So now I see why, full circle, why you are doing the work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, what else? Because you know, you got the little note about my notes. Is there anything else for Dr. D, young Dr. D, that you want to talk about before we move on to the next thing?
I don't know. I feel like stuff just gonna come as we go.
Okay.
Like I can't think of nothing off the top of the head, but I'm gonna
I do have
as
another
we talk.
question then. I just want
Okay.
to make check in with you. So
Thank you.
you talked about the way you were brought up and like we
Mhm.
gonna call it resting bitch face because everybody didn't heard of it before.
That what they
So
call it.
how yes, how has the way you were nurtured or the way you came up didn't really see a lot of affection? How has that affected your relationships?
Oh, girl. Ooh. So,
That was a loaded
okay, hold on.
one, huh?
Hold on. Because, and I'm just doing that because it didn't impact me until my late 30s. Well, I'm not in my late 30s. Let's be very clear. Until I mean, like where I'm at in my 30s right now.
Yeah.
So again, until moving, it didn't impact me because everyone that I ever dated was from Detroit and we all grew up the same way. So it wasn't uncommon to like not hold hands and to not, and that people that hear that think that's weird that you could be in a relationship with somebody for years and not really show that type of affection. But it's normal. Like I'm not that girl that's all up under you anyway. So it wasn't weird, but dating now on the other side of things, it's like, oh, your love language is physical touch. I don't really know how to give you that.
Right.
So I
Right.
have to kind of revamp and like adjust, which you have to do in any relationship anyway. But again, I'm unlearning the things that I grew up knowing and understand. So I would say that it's impacted them in the sense that I'm now at this big age having to learn some stuff that I should have already been equipped with um as a younger adult. But it is what it is. You live and you grow and you learn, and
Absolutely.
you can't put a time frame on when that happens. So
Absolutely. And the reason I asked that is because, like you said, the people that you had dated came from where you came from and grew up in a similar way. But when you step
mhm.
outside your comfort zone and you get outside the environment, you start to see people doing things in a different way. You're like, oh, it's a little culture shock for
Yeah,
real, for real. And then,
yeah.
like you said, it makes you examine yourself like, is something wrong with me? But
Mhm.
it's really like, nah, that's just how I grew up. That's how you grew
Right.
up. And I've experienced that too. It's like, oh, I go and I see different family dynamics. Oh, y'all do this. Y'all talk nice to each other. Y'all hang
Right.
out. So it
Yeah,
is a culture shock.
it is.
And then as you get on this journey of like wellness and self-improvement, sometimes you do look at yourself and think that there is a deficit or like, am I ever going to be able to
Right.
catch up
Right.
or can anybody accept me for who I am? So it is comfortable for a lot of people to stay in their environments because it doesn't
For sure.
challenge them in a lot of ways.
For
So that's
sure.
why I wanted to ask you that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yes, girl. So talk to me more about this healthcare research.
Yeah.
We all hear statistics about the Black mortality rate when
hmm
Black women are giving
hmm
Black maternal mortality rate.
Yes, for sure.
I was scared as hell because I'm a Black woman and I was pregnant 6 years ago, and I heard all these stories about the mortality rate being
Right.
so freaking low with Black women.
Right.
But then I hit a switch. I started to educate myself. So I educated
Good, good,
myself
good, good.
about the mortality rates, which are awful. But then
hmm
I also educated myself on what our bodies are designed to do,
Right.
also how to advocate for myself. And
Amen.
then I got a doula
Yes.
because if you don't know what you don't know.
You
And then
don't.
I not only had my OBGYN, but I also had midwives and I did tours at
Yes.
different, birthing centers, different local hospitals. And just, I figured it out for my own personal journey.
hmm
Not to say that we shouldn't pay attention to this research that like people like you are doing
Right.
because it's absolutely important. You got to arm yourself. But I always tell people, don't don't live in fear. And this is something that you talk a lot about, especially in your book as well, Black Girls
Yeah.
Can Talk. Don't arm yourself with information to live in fear
Yeah.
because then you're making making decisions based off of that fear mindset.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
so luckily I'm still here to tell my story, but there are so
Amen.
many Black women
hmm
who have babies who are experiencing complications that don't have the right systems at
Yeah.
place and even support systems to help them out. So I
hmm
do want to talk to you about that
Yeah.
because you are the person that's doing that research that we
Yeah.
are reading about, hearing podcasts about, seeing
hmm
stories about. What is your take on all of that?
Yeah. First and foremost, I want to say faith and fear cannot coexist. They cannot stand together. So you either have one or the other, but you can't have both. So Okay. But yes, I love hearing talks about doulas and midwives. My best friend is a doula turned midwife.
Yeah.
And she's Dr. D as well. Period. Shout out to
I love
Deja.
y'all. I love it.
Yes, shout out to Deja. But so I all my questions, I'm like, Faith. Uh so I luckily again am surrounded. A lot of my friends are in healthcare actually. A lot of nurses, love them down, or healthcare administration. Like we all it's we need us, right? So a lot of us went that route. But I so she definitely researches the maternal mortality things like that. And I know that she for her DNP, her doctorate nurse in nursing practice, excuse me, she did a whole project on all of that. For me, I know those statistics, but my research is not, I don't delve into that.
Mhm.
But we do have to come up with a new research plan next month, so we might hold on. We might look into it. But
Okay.
so for me, my research is mostly it's again among Black women, and it deals with intimate partner violence. And just statistics, real quick for you: every 1 in 4 women experience intimate partner violence in their lifetime.
Mhm.
1 in 4. 1 in 4. And there's different forms of violence, of
Mhm.
intimate partner violence. A lot of people think just someone you were in a relationship with. No, it could be someone that's you call a friend, anyone you've had intimate relations with. There's a lot of subcategories that we're not
Mhm.
gonna get
Mhm.
into, but I guess kind of just going back to the question you asked earlier, like how did I get where I came to, I should say, as far as my topic and my
Yeah.
research. I started off sexual and reproductive health, so that does include some of that infant mortality too, but maternal
Mhm.
mortality.
Mhm.
So I started off researching those things. I branched off when I started working for a healthcare organization, into the LGBTQ plus community.
Mhm.
So I was implementing satellite health centers in the city of Detroit, and we focused on providing services and including PrEP
Mhm.
testing, HIV testing. I'm sorry, not PrEP testing, PrEP,
Mhm.
HIV testing, things like
Mhm.
that. So that kind of fostered my love for that community. For me, I've always had an issue with discrimination. And so, even in my research now, what I want to do is inform providers based off of discriminatory experiences of these Black women, especially as it relates to their healthcare inequities and their healthcare experiences. So, that's what I do on a daily. That's what I research. So, whatever topic that is, if that's intimate partner violence, if that's like we talked about maternal health,
Yeah.
um, we are discriminated in healthcare in general.
I
Okay.
got two
Um,
questions. Oh,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you good. No, cut me
Two
off whenever.
questions. When you say intimate, can that also be related to just when I hear the word intimate, a couple things come to
Mhm.
mind, but the average person we probably gonna think about like, oh, a relationship, romantic relationship. But to be on the other side, intimacy also means just proximity, like being close. Is that
Exactly.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
could like work relationships fall underneath that?
yeah. So I would say that if I wouldn't categorize it as a work relationship, I would just say a friend,
Mm,
right? Because typically your coworkers become your friends, or you have some closeness to them. So
okay.
going back to the word you're using, anyone who um again, so I'm just thinking about, we use a scale, it's called the Hark
Mm-hmm.
scale, and that's humiliated, afraid, rape, and kick. So there are questions within that scale to ask, have you ever been X, Y, and Z, right? So when we're doing our research, if someone answers yes to a subset of those questions, it can be identified as intimate partner violence,
I got it.
right? So
Okay.
there are different ways that we identify it, and also like going back to the point of it's not just having sex, right? Um, that can include, like I said, well, so reproductive coercion is
Mm-hmm.
is a very, very big topic that we talk about, but that does include someone just being emotionally abusive, right? That it doesn't have to be just, the violence isn't just sexual. So I want, it's a more inclusive topic than people think about.
And
People, sorry, go ahead.
tell me what reproductive coercion
Yeah,
is.
you, thank you, because I'm so used to I'm in my research brain right now. Yeah, so the best example that I always give is like, say for instance, you're having sex with someone and they take off the condom while you're having
Mhm.
sex without your knowledge or approval. That's reproductive coercion.
Got it. Wow. And y'all doing a lot of study on that right now, research.
I include that in typically all of my, anytime I'm talking about intimate partner violence,
Wow.
we include conversations surrounding condom usage as well as
Mm.
reproductive coercion. Yeah,
And
because again, it's more common than you think.
it is.
Hmm. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I'm gonna circle back with you on that because I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and a lot of people haven't. And to
Yeah.
be honest, until I started doing this work, I was like, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, I've
Yeah.
heard of that before, but just not in that
Right.
terminology.
Like we've heard of
Hmm.
somebody that happening to or somebody
Hmm.
doing that, but
Yeah,
we didn't know that it was an actual term for it and that it's
yeah,
being researched.
yeah. And that's all we hear. That's why I'm here to
Listen,
educate people.
let me tell you something. I just have to pause and give black women their freaking flowers. We are some thorough ass people,
Yeah,
period. Like
yes,
if you need
yes.
something done, you're gonna call a dependable ass black woman. And I can tell
Mm,
you, like you and your circle of friends that are in healthcare, we are going to make sure you straight, make sure you
yes,
are good, and we're gonna do it in a thorough way.
yes.
So shout out to you for being in
Thank
that
you.
space, doing the
Thank
research that you're
you.
doing. Because I tell people, as much as folks, especially black men, get on this here internet and talk about black women and this and this and that.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this. He kind of looked like he was Indian in some aspect, but I'm not sure. But he talked about when he first moved to the States, his mama said, if you are ever in trouble, look for
All
a
a
black
black
woman.
woman. For real. For
Period.
real.
So him, them, the others, black men, like you have been embraced and helped and cared for by a black woman. So
Absolutely.
I just love
Absolutely.
to hear that you're in the space that you're in because I know whatever you do is going to be thorough and that you're going to use your voice. And I
Thank you.
definitely
Period.
want to, on that front, talk about Black Girls Can Talk. What is it? Why
Yeah.
are you doing it? Who are you doing it for?
Well, I'm doing it for God and his people.
Okay.
So let's start there because
Period.
I didn't come up with this on my
Mm,
own. I can't act like I did. I actually was writing a totally different book at the time, and I told myself, okay, I'm gonna start writing again tomorrow. And God was like, nope, put this first.
mm,
Gave me the title, child. I'm on my way to sleep. Now I'm up thinking like, okay, what we gonna write about? So I literally pray every day, and I just say, God, whatever you want on these pages. So people ask me what's in the book, and I can't even answer that because
mm,
I don't know. God
mm.
was right. He said what he said. I don't know,
Wow.
and I know what of course, if I think on it, I could be like, okay, in chapter one, somebody literally sent me an excerpt from my book, and I was like, oh, that's cool. Who said that? They were
You
like,
did. You and
they were
God.
like, I hope you think it's good because you said it in chapter five. I said, oh, yeah, that's some good
Wow.
writing. Yeah. So, and it just stems from, like I said, I grew up in a city that is or was
Mhm.
primarily Black. But even there, even in that space, we were still being silenced.
Mm,
And so I didn't feel comfortable. I remember I didn't feel comfortable using my voice is what I was gonna say, but I remember like even at Dairy Queen when I was younger, I would tell my big sister, like, can you order my
mm,
ice cream for me? Like I just wasn't comfortable. I was so in my shell and maybe I was shy at that time as well, but I just don't feel like I was in spaces until college that I could feel comfortable and feel like I had something to say and to share. And like I shared post degree, I was in another space where I'm around people that are smarter than me, who've been doing this longer, and had a legit identity crisis, and
mm.
I was just like, I shouldn't be here, and I will never forget the associate dean said, if you made it here, you're excellent. You didn't get here because you're not. Like everyone that comes here is excellent. I said, you know what, you ain't wrong. Come on. So after that, I still had a crisis after that, but I just remembered that each time I would kind of doubt myself. And it's like, yeah, people do what I do and have the same degree that I have, but no one is me. I'm anointed in a
Mm-hmm.
certain way, and he put that on me, and he didn't give it to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't care what you doing. I'm gonna do what I'm doing. But so yeah, Black Girls Can Talk got birthed out of my personal experiences, my professional experiences. And I just wanted to, well, let me clarify again. God had me create something that could be helpful to others. Because what people don't understand is we're not here to just gatekeep the knowledge that we're given. That doesn't even make sense because you got that knowledge from somebody else. So why not continue to pass on your knowledge and
Yeah.
wisdom? And so that's what that book is. And I always term it as my love letter to Black women,
Mm.
because it's just all the stuff they don't
Yeah.
tell us, right? Like, and I talk about the angry Black woman stereotype. I talk about microaggressions. I talk about what's right or wrong in the workplace. And I'm doing that because it's okay to wear braids. That ain't wrong.
Okay.
But I don't know what those balloons got going on.
Yeah, they have
Anyway.
these when you do certain hand gestures,
Oh,
yeah, the iPhone be picking up certain things.
well, congratulations to me, child. Anyway,
Okay. It's a party. A celebration.
right. But yeah, I just talk about a lot of the things that impact us that again, there's not really space held to talk about otherwise. And so that's what the book is, that's what the platform is. And then now, launching next month will be the podcast. And so just extending that platform and offering a, an actual space for women to share their stories and use their voices. So
Yes. And your book is available on Amazon. Just give a brief like synopsis. What is in the book? What does Black
mhm,
Girls
mhm.
Can Talk when they open it up?
Yeah,
Why did you write that book?
yeah. I hit you with identity first chapter, because I think it's important for us to understand who we are first and foremost before we do anything else. So I charge people in the first chapter to figure out what your name means. For a
Mm.
long time, I was like, who came up with DaJaneil? And I found out it was my auntie. I think she was like 18 at the time. I'm like, why not let the baby name me? But come to find out, my name means already
Oh,
destined.
wow, look
And
at that.
that's nothing you can make up, you know what I mean? And so for whatever reason, she decided to name me that. I know that it came from God because of what he had planned for me, right? So I it's always important to start off with that. So it's just an exploration of identity, self-care, self-love, teaching you resilience, right? Building up that confidence in yourself. And I wrote it because as a mentor, I mentor even when I'm not in a formal mentorship
Mhm.
capacity. As a mentor, I want to again give others the knowledge that I have
Mhm.
and just hold that space for them. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So a lot of times you may know something, but until it's like you read it or it's reiterated to you, like you kind of put it in the back of your brain. So no, pick that book up, read chapters 1 and 2 or something, and just kind of remember who you
That's
are.
right.
Like we we are, like you said, we are a force to be reckoned with, literally.
Mhm.
And we have to be reminded of that. So that is the book is the reminder of that.
I love the title Black Girls Can Talk because I think it's an affirmation to anybody that walks past it, a black woman. Also, I'm gonna just say anybody, like I said, the person
Yeah.
who walks past it,
Hmm.
because there are so many ideologies around women in general, kids in general. You should be seen and not heard. So we
Yeah.
have conditioned
Yeah.
ourselves and also been conditioned by society to feel like what we have to say is not important. We should be
Right.
seen and not heard. And I have always had this voice, this boldness, confidence inside of me since I was a kid. And the older I've gotten, the more I've developed it, refined it, because sometimes we
Hmm.
have to make sure how we say what we're saying is also well received if we want people to
Yeah.
really hear us, right?
Yes.
That's been something I've had to get better with. But I do know that when, like you say, I walk into a room that I belong there,
Belong there.
you might have signed something and said, okay, she's accepted, whatever. But what God instilled inside of me, this brain that He gave me, my hard work, my
Amen.
tenacity, that's
Amen.
also what got me there. So I tell the girls that I work with as well, when I'm doing confidence coaching, that you belong,
Amen.
and whatever your confidence looks like, just make sure
Hmm.
that you are embodying that, because there's
For
also
sure.
quiet confidence.
Hmm.
But when you walk in a room, don't hold your head down. don't be looking at the floor. When you have something
Yeah.
to say, ask that question, because 9 times out of 10, especially when I was in school, the
Mm-hmm.
questions that I had was what the most of the class was thinking
Right.
anyway. They just didn't raise their hand to say
Right.
it. And so you don't
Exactly.
know who you're making space for
Yeah.
when you use your voice.
Yeah.
There's so many powerful Black women in history that shaped how we live our lives now. And if they just stood on the sideline and accepted the conditioning that you're just supposed to be here, be cute, and be seen, and that's it. If they accepted that, then there's so many things that we wouldn't be able to do today,
Yeah.
including vote, drive, buy a
Women's
house, get a PhD.
suffrage. Like
Yeah,
I talk
so
about that in the book.
yeah. So we don't want to subscribe to that. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that you're using your voice and your platform to teach Black women and Black girls that yes, you
Mhm.
can talk. And like I said, when other people who don't fit into that criteria
I
that
was
you
gonna
wrote the
say
book for,
and allies. Yeah.
yes, and allies, and even people who think that we still don't have a voice and that we shouldn't be talking. No, buy this book, pick it up, and read
Yeah.
why what we have to say is important as well. Thank you,
Yes.
Kamala. She says your light definitely shines when you walk in a room. Yours
Yes,
too,
it
beautiful. I
do.
love her.
It do.
Yes. Well, thank you. I wanted to also ask you a
Of
question.
course.
Is this book also for women? I think you alluded to this before, but is it also for women trying to discover how to use their voice in a work environment and also not be silenced in a work environment? Because that's a real thing.
Yeah,
And
it
you
is.
also
It
touched
is.
on that angry Black woman
Mhm.
complex. And this
Mhm.
is what I've been
Mhm.
saying to myself recently. Like, it's okay to be Black and angry, just like it's okay to be white and angry, Asian and angry.
Right.
You know what I
We
mean? So just because
human.
you're a Black woman who's rightfully upset about something, that's okay. But
It is
people will
okay.
try to put stereotypes and labels on us. But just because we're speaking up and being respectful,
Hmm.
and being assertive, they may perceive it as that, but that
For
doesn't mean
sure.
that you don't use your voice in
Yeah.
a tactful way. So
Yeah.
is this
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
people that are also struggling in that area too?
Absolutely. I talk about the workplace environment. Let me just go back a little bit. At the end of each chapter, I give tips for allies.
Love
So
that.
yes, going to the stereotype, just to touch on that briefly, people don't understand. We sometimes we are angry, but sometimes we're just passionate because we have fought to get to where we're at. So that anger you may perceive is really my passion and my love for people, for what I do, for whatever it is. So people need to reframe their thinking a lot of time. Like, I'm yelling because I'm passionate about what I'm talking about, right? Like, it's not because I'm angry. And maybe you making me angry. You ever think that I'm mad because you made me mad? Like,
Or
you know
because
what I
you're trying to
mean?
silence me and make me
Right.
out to be something I'm not. That would make anybody angry.
Anybody angry, right? So we handle it differently. But because we for centuries, for time, have been, because we've been silenced, it makes us upset now, and we know that we can use our voice, so we do. And sometimes that voice a little loud, and that's okay. But even in the workplace, I talk about even how to leave a job and how not to. I give
Mhm.
suggestions like, okay, maybe say this instead. And I just, going back to allies real quick, I can think of in particular, can I touch your hair? No, you
Mhm.
can't. Don't ask me that.
Mhm.
Okay, don't ask me that. Because it's mine. And even if it's not, I paid for it. And no, you can't
And
touch
you
that.
ain't
That's so weird.
asking
No,
this lady over here to touch her hair.
it
You
correct,
want to
exactly.
touch
So do not do that, you know. But and then I talk about, like, again, I mentioned like braids are not unprofessional. Wear your braids,
mine?
sis. Wear your braids.
Cultural, and we
It's
should be
cultural.
bringing our culture with us wherever
Wherever we
we go. I love a
go.
loud color. I finally
Mhm.
figured out when I was still working in corporate, in any space that I walk into now, when I'm doing speaking engagements, I'm bringing my color. But back when I was still in corporate, I was trying to like dumb myself down and
Yep,
no, these
yep,
colors make me happy.
yep.
This is how I feel. This is how I want to
Hmm.
represent
Hmm.
myself. So I would add some little pops of color because we don't want to be a distraction to what we came here to do. Everybody, now you talk
Right,
about my bright green blazer. Okay, maybe I shouldn't wear the bright because I really
right,
want to
right.
talk about this research paper. You know what I'm saying? And so
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
way to tactfully
There
do things
is.
in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I have found ways to, my African print, my Ankara print, to
Period.
pop it in there because why not?
Period.
You know
Because
what I'm
why
saying?
not? And just to the point, like, I wouldn't have wore this hairstyle in my last position. I wouldn't have, because I felt some type of way personally. Again, the environment I was in wasn't conducive to allow me to be myself. But now, baby, I walked in with the same color coat as you got on right now.
Period.
Cause I'm here. What's
What's
up?
up?
I'm here. And I think the confidence, it also had to do with now that like I said, I'm secure in who God made me be, uh, made me to be. Um, I also am secure in my position as well. Like I'm no longer in training. I am a professor, same as you. I think I was allowing I was downplaying myself even because I was in a world where everyone already had the title and I was just training to become the title, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
you are that
So I
girl.
was like, let me sit back.
Yeah,
Thank you. So let me sit back. But no, it's like even in that position, that's when I started to learn to speak up because you're never gonna play with me. Never.
it's really
And I tried.
sad. Oh, go
It's
ahead.
that I was gonna say, and I try to tuck the Detroit. I try to tuck, but now it just comes out in a more professional
Keep
manner.
the Detroit in your back pocket because there are going to
It has to
be I keep where I'm from, Northside Richmond, in my back
come
pocket
on.
when I need to because
Yeah.
there do be people out here trying to play on your top. And it's like,
Yeah, for sure.
professionally, I'm going to let you know that that's not what we're going to
Correct.
do. We're
And I
not
give
doing that.
suggestions on how to do that if applied.
Love that. I love that. Shout out to Mrs. Green. She is a
Yes.
faithful supporter of our podcast
Hi.
and of our business. She says, I'm truly enjoying this conversation, ladies. You are on
Thank you.
point, so on point.
Thank
Thank you. We
you.
love you, Mrs. Green. It's really sad that we have to go through this training, that we have to
Mhm.
create these spaces. And it's really sad that people choose to not see why what we do is useful.
Right.
But one thing I know about Black women, it's not going to stop us. And I'm so
Not at
grateful
all.
for community and that when we reposition our crown, we go and we
Hmm.
tilt yours back to the top and we put crowns on our little ones, on our little Black
Mhm.
women in training, because only we know our experiences. And there are so many people that try to invalidate
Yes.
that because they haven't experienced it.
Mhm.
And so now, because in your mind, you can't wrap your mind around our experiences, you say, instead of giving the benefit of the doubt, you say, well, that's not true. So we don't need spaces for that.
And
We
how you
can't
gonna
allocate
tell
funds.
me?
How you gonna tell me? And so that is why the work is internal and in our minds that we have to continue doing. Because if we assimilate to culture outside of
For
ours, then
sure.
we no longer see the need to create spaces and to write books and to create
Right.
platforms and
Right.
podcasts to share our stories. Because, like you said, we don't want to silence
Right.
ourselves because we're being silenced. We're silencing other people. So I love the work that you're
Mhm.
doing. I love that you are, honey, with your ponytail and the baby hair
Love it.
up in these colleges
Thank you.
and research groups and in your community, showing people little Black girls in Detroit and Richmond, Virginia, and beyond what's
Mhm.
possible for them.
Yes.
And I think if we continue with these conversations and creating mindset switches in people to show them what is possible, we can change the world. I truly believe that. So
Amen. Me
thank
too.
you for your work. I'm going to read a couple more
Okay.
comments and then see if there's anything that you want to share before we get off.
Okay.
So, Francis, hey, Miss Renee. Francis says, I
Hi.
needed to hear this. I definitely need to hear this. So glad I jumped on this morning. Thank you,
Me
ladies. I'm glad you
too.
came. Love you, Francis. That's one of my good girls, too. She says, talk about confidence building and reassurance. Yes. Hey, Shay. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, hey, Dr. Club.
Hey, doctor.
Yep, she one of my friends that I was talking about that's in a program, a doctoral program.
I
Hey.
love that for y'all. I
Yes.
absolutely freaking love that for y'all. Keep taking up space. We need Black women in every area you can think of professionally and in the community. Shout out to Dr. Club. Oh, I'm just so proud of you.
Thank
Um,
you.
why? I have two more questions and I'll let you dive in if there's anything else you want to touch on.
Okay.
Um, knowing what you know now, if you were
Mhm.
speaking to, let's say, an elementary school Black girl, middle school Black girl, high school Black girl, what do you think? How do you think they should see themselves? Like, even if
Mhm.
right now they're looking in the mirror and they can only see that urban girl from Detroit,
Yeah.
urban girl from Richmond, when they look in the mirror, what do you think they should see? Even if it's something they have to create in their minds, what do you think they should see when they look in the mirror and see
Yeah.
themselves?
That girl. They they need to know that whoever you are enough. And you are that girl. And whatever, you don't have to be doing exceedingly and abundantly. Like you don't have to be doing great things because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And because of that, you are that girl, period. So I always just always tell people younger than me. Somebody asked me before, like, what would you tell a student or a Black girl that's trying to, get into the medical field, trying to become a doctor? Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do anything. And matter of fact, if they do, make that be the reason why you do it. Because how you gonna tell me what I can and can't do? There's only one person that can, and his name is Jesus himself.
Okay.
Okay, like no one can tell you what you can and cannot do. And if Jesus tell you you can't do something, then listen. Okay, listen. Don't be trying to go against the grain.
Yeah.
But why can't we? Why can't you? So I always say, just be confident in yourself, know your strengths, know what you were put here to do, and walk in that. Walk in your authority.
I love that. Is there anything else that you would like to share or say before we get up out the soul seat?
No, child, we'll be here to tomorrow. So if I talk about all the stuff that I'm passionate about, but no, I just want to thank everybody for joining and listening and providing feedback. Like, I'm sure there are a lot of Black women on this call. I hope that it was helpful to everyone. I hope that you took away something um and heard something that you can apply in your life. Read the book, get the book. If you need more information, follow me at Black Girls underscore Can Talk. I have my personal pages as well. Just look out for some stuff. Follow the page too because of the podcast
Yeah.
coming up, please.
Yeah.
But
Podcast.
yeah,
Well, I want to
podcast next
shout out
month.
Lauren for connecting us.
Yes,
And
yes,
yes, Lauren Calloway. Shout
absolutely.
out to Lauren for connecting
Shout
us.
out to
And
Lauren.
yes, I just want to say again that I am happy to know you, honey. Detroit and
Yes,
Maryland, Dr.
same.
D from Detroit to Doctor. I'm so inspired by
Period.
you. And if there's
Thank
any way that
you.
I and Soul Rise Essentials can support you with what you're doing, definitely let us know. I want to say thank you for being a
Absolutely.
thriver, for making
Thank
it through, beating the
you.
odds, and just continuing to press forward and light up the lives of other people that you touch as well.
Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it because I need you on the
I got
episode. Thank you.
I got you.
Thank
Hit me up. Well, you have an amazing day. I'm gonna stay on
Thank you.
for a
You
few more minutes
too.
and make a couple more announcements, but it's a little X up there. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I love this. I love this. Let's do it
Yay.
again. All right. Y'all have a good one. Thanks everybody for joining. Bye bye.
Bye. So shout out to Dr. D, y'all. Dr. DaJaneil. That was an amazing conversation. I love the power of Black women and how we connect with each other. Another Black woman connected us, and she's doing some amazing work. So I was like, we got to get you on the podcast. So love that conversation. I also want to read a couple comments. Hey, Lena, long time no see. She says, love the conversation and collaboration. This unification makes me so proud. Yes. Love Black women doing some amazing things. Can't say that enough. Mrs. Green says, I'm definitely going to purchase the book and read it because I have 3 young granddaughters that I'm sure can benefit from it. Yes. Information like this at their age is going to take them so far. Like, representation means so much. That lady is sitting over there with her ponytail, with her nails and her baby hair, and she is a whole professor, okay, doing healthcare research, writing books and talking and starting podcasts and just empowering people. That's what I love about Black women. Y'all, this has been episode 41 of Soul Seed Conversations, and you can check out all of our episodes on our Instagram and also on our YouTube. And then if you have if you are watching the replay and you have reached the end of this and you loved it, definitely put some sunshine emojis down in the comments. Want to shout out to the Soul Tribe family that joined us live as well. Shout out to the new Soul Tribe family members. I see y'all showing up and following us. I forgot to ask Dr. D. Let me see if she's still on here. I forgot to ask her an important question. Let me see if she's still on here. She's still on here. You still on here, girl? Thank you, Nakira. Thank you for staying on and for watching and engaging. Let's see. Okay, I think she got off. But it's all good, y'all. Yes, y'all support her. I will see you next month for episode 42 of Soul Seed Conversations. Again, our podcast exists to share stories of resilience, build global community, and for you to discover new ways to thrive via the brave voices of others. You can shop our mental health merchandise and these new beanies over at soulriseessentials.com. That's SOLRISE essentials.com. DaJaneilMcCree.com. If you made it to the end, again, leave a sunshine emoji. Remember to mind your mind and shine your light. Thank you so much for joining us. I will see y'all next month. Peace.